Hey, Mr. Suttle, it's normal procedure is name and address, obviously, and then 5 minutes, and then we'll go from there if you go, kind of get close to it, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Richard Suttle, S-U-T-T-L-E. My address is 834 Freemason Street in Knoxville. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners, I first want to thank Mr. Tony Norman for asking me to speak to you today regarding my experiences of the past year as a Knox County teacher who was recommended for termination and went through the process of appealing what I believe to be an unfair and incorrect decision on the part of my school's administration. My comments will be brief, and I'll be happy to answer questions. A little over a year ago, on May 25th, 2013, I was called to my principal's office at Gibbs High School, informed that I was being recommended for termination as a teacher with Knox County School System. I was told that the recommendation was based on my team evaluation scores from the past 2 years. These are calculated primarily from TVAS scores, which is a formula that is intended to show teacher effect, positive or negative, on students' learning in the time period that we have them in class, and from classroom observation ratings done by lead teachers, administrators, and other staff. That is using a 5-point scale. By the time I received a formal letter from the school system in September, I had also been charged with failing to input grades, being late to class, using inappropriate language in class, and excessive absenteeism. I requested an appeal before an independent hearing officer, which took place in March, and as a result of a 4-day hearing, I was reinstated as a teacher for Knox County Schools. That decision was appealed to the school board, and my reinstatement was upheld by the board on July 2nd. After the school board meeting, 3 articles were written in local newspapers about my case. The average person reading those articles and the charges that were listed would come away with a very negative impression of me as a teacher and as an employee in general. So I'd like to just in real general terms address some of the charges. The details of my case are spelled out in a 700-plus page transcript of the hearing, my attorney's 50-page summary brief, and the hearing officer's 20-page decision. To address each charge in detail would take 4 days, so we'll skip that. From my perspective, and I believe in the opinion of the hearing officer, many of these charges were proved to be either invalid or inaccurate, while others were exaggerated or taken completely out of context. Excuse me. These charges are the first time in my career in education as both a classroom teacher and as a college administrator that I've ever received an unsatisfactory evaluation. I was judged by test scores of students who struggled the most in math. They struggled for all sorts of reasons. I was happy to help them to succeed to the best of their ability, even though their best did not always meet the criteria deemed as acceptable by today's educational standards. Every student in these classes had failed their Algebra 1 requirement at least once, some more than once. Fortunately, I was able to help most, but not all, pass the class and improve their test scores. I was able to help some of them have at least a little more confidence in their math abilities going forward. I consider these accomplishments to be a success. At the risk of being immodest, I was able to produce equivalent or higher test scores than other teachers at my school who occasionally taught one of these same repeater classes. My scores from the repeater classes were compared equally with standard classes and honors classes. I was also judged by a 6-page instructional rubric that contains well over 100 indicators known as the team teaching model. The teachers were told they needed to meet in every class every day. Similar to experience that I heard other teachers relate, I found myself teaching some of the worst lessons of my career. I found myself trying to teach in the straightforward, organized way I was accustomed to, and which so many students told me they found helpful, especially with a subject as confusing as math can be, while at the same time trying to remember to include the indicators I was told were essential to a quality lesson. The results were sometimes disastrous, not to mention very stressful. I eventually adjusted and tried to find a happy medium. I made sure to include the key elements from the team rubric in my classes while trying to retain elements of teaching that came naturally for me. One of the first things most prospective teachers used to be told in college is that you have to be yourself and find the most natural way for you to communicate effectively. Despite the fact that I had success with students in the past, sometimes with very high TVAS scores, and often with math classes that ranked in the top 10 in Knox County according to their average test scores, I was rated by some of my current administrators as an unsatisfactory teacher. Please don't take these comments to suggest I'm opposed to the idea of teachers receiving training to be more effective or that I'm against being evaluated. To the contrary, I would love to attend in-service training sessions that contain specific examples of methods that teachers have found helpful in aiding comprehension in math. Such instruction is rare in the in-services we attend, and it is badly needed. I want to close by saying that Knoxville is my hometown. This is where I grew up and where I went to school. I'm a proud member of the last graduating class from the old Farragut High School in 1976. I love Knoxville with all my heart, and I care deeply about the people in this community. As a teacher, I've always approached education with my priority being what will best fill the needs of each individual student. I taught math at Gibbs High School to students who were going on to four-year universities or colleges, and possibly some type of graduate study after that. I taught students who were looking forward to community college and hoping they would be successful enough to earn an associate's degree. I taught others who couldn't wait to finish high school so that they could attend the Tennessee School of Beauty and make a living styling hair and maybe one day own their own salon. Some students had an aptitude for technical skills and planned to attend trade school for electricians or engine repair or construction. My personal belief is that we ought to be providing educational opportunities for all these kids according to their needs. That is what education is about for me. And I'm very grateful that I will have the opportunity to again help our students with their educational needs, both as professionals with ability and as people who can contribute to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Norman?
Thank you, Mr. Suttle, and thank you for coming. I had a couple of questions. Have you been contacted since the Board of Education meeting on July 2nd about your status, anything official in writing? Have you been contacted by your principal-to-be about your assignment, anything in terms of this coming year?
Yes, I was contacted Friday by Human Resources, and I was contacted over the weekend by the principal at my new school that I was assigned to.
Okay, so what did they say? What did HR say?
They said I had been assigned to Little Springs Middle School as a physical education teacher.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. And so I assume the principal at Willow Springs then contacted you.
Yes, she did, and to set up a meeting with me this week so that we could meet.
How appropriate. Exactly what I'd expect. Thank you, Mr. Suttle.
Commissioner Orby?